Hello, Karen. Hello, Charmaine.
So, Mr. Wong, we're so happy to have you here today. Would you mind if you tell us what motivated you to become a lawyer and pursue a career in law?
God, let me try this because so many years ago now, it's over 40 years. I believe the first occasion when I have a chance to actually witness how life is of a lawyer is that I went to court with my uncle, who is a barrister, who still is practicing as a barrister. I believe it was a summer occasion. I was kind of intern in his chambers, and he brought me to court, and I was asked to sit next to him. I was absolutely fascinated by the entire procedures. So I went to told me mom that I would like to be a lawyer one day. Then, a few years later, when I first graduated and I obtained a general arts degree, I joined the Hong Kong government. But the job I was given is to work in the lands department, where they require me to do a 2-year part-time sandwich course at the Polytechnic to study many things, surveying, land valuation. And one of the subjects is a law subject. You have to have some basic understanding of the law of contract and law of tort, etc. And that was the first time I had to sit through a law lecture. And again, I find it fascinating. And I said, hey, law subjects are not that difficult, right? Okay, and in fact, it's quite soul-searching. Then another 2 years down the road, when I finally got confirmed to that position as a land executive. Then a circular landed on my desk, inviting civil servants to apply for legal training scholarship from the Hong Kong government. I said, oh, let me take a look. I must say that I think I barely qualify. I've just met the absolute minimum, the lowest of the lowest threshold. I just touched on that. So I said, why not? I got nothing to lose. So I applied for the scholarship. Cut a long story short, all my superior officers thought I was crazy because in those days, every year they offered it to 2 civil servants, sometimes even 1. My chances of getting the scholarship was supposed to be less than 0.01%. And without sounding boastful and without going through the details, I got the scholarship. And then they was about to send me back to University of Hong Kong to read law, but then they discovered that there is a fast track to do a CPD plus a College of Law training in the UK. I could qualify as a lawyer only with 2 years per 2 years articles in those days. So I gave him my idea of being a barrister because that was the trend, that was the route to qualify as a solicitor. So I qualified as a solicitor. So that is the story.
Mr. Wong, can you tell me more about your practice? Any memorable matters you've worked on?
Wow, everything was memorable in those days because being a lawyer in those days is a big thing, really. As I said, I obtained a government scholarship. So one of the conditions that when I qualify, I have to work for the legal department. Now it's called the DOJ, and have to take up a position. Title is Crown Counsel, and for at least 5 years in those days. So like all young lawyers, everybody wanted to be a prosecutor. It sounds more exciting, right? And you enjoy a bit of advocacy work. And so I did prosecution work, and it's absolutely fascinating. Being me, I was very lucky. I only had to do initially a few weeks, even maybe a month or so, for doing traffic offenses, this sort of thing. And then later they gave me drugs cases, and within few months, not more than 3-4 months, they actually gave me district court prosecution cases, prosecuting white-collar crime, deception, false accounting, etc. In those days, supposed to be really complicated, only for more experienced Crown Counsel. But I was very lucky to give it to me, and I found the whole thing very, very rewarding, and you just could not wait to go home to tell your mom what you did that day in court, just like watching your television. Then an opportunity arose. That was the time Hong Kong people, Hong Kong government start talking about 1997 just round the corner, and when all the laws of Hong Kong will have to be passed into law through legislative process bilingually. So all laws in Hong Kong, new laws will be passed bilingually. All the existing laws of Hong Kong will have to be translated into Chinese. So the Legislative Council was badly in need of someone who can read and write reasonably good Chinese. And it was a senior Crown Counsel post, which was wow. Again, I was actually quite stupid, because in those days, someone like me who wanted to be a senior Crown Counsel, I think the minimum expected time would be 7 years or more. But I'm only about 17 months qualified. But I applied. Again, very lucky, because I came from a very traditional family. Supposedly our Chinese is a bit better. My father was a Chinese teacher, and we were forced to read, write good Chinese as a child anyway. So in those days, I remember a lot of my colleagues applied for the same job. The English, absolutely no problem. Most of them come from public school, and then went to famous Oxbridge or the Radcliffe University in the UK. So easy to find someone whose English is good. But to find someone who can read and write good Chinese, there were not that many, I understand. And then again, without sounding boastful, I was told by the examiner that I came top of the class. No one could beat your Chinese at that time, so they gave me the job. And then I was on secondment. I was seconded from the legal department to the Legislative Council as an acting senior Crown Counsel post. And there, it was another challenging time.
So, Mr. Wong, after you've left the government, I understand that you've joined a number of law firms, international law firms, and became a managing partner. And recently you've started your own law firm as well. So can you share with us what are the rewards and challenges for working in different environment, like an international law firm and now with your own law firm?
This is a very good question. First of all, a number of law firms I would like to clarify. A number, I think in English sometimes suggest more than 2, about 3 and above. I have only worked with a couple of law firms, only 2, since I left the Hong Kong government. So I joined a city firm. One of the reasons at that time, the main reason is that I thought I might have to leave Hong Kong and settle down in UK. At that time, now I have absolutely no desire of doing that. So at that time, I thought if I worked for the Hong Kong government, I may be seen to be lacking commercial side of your training. Are you a commercial lawyer? Have you ever done a commercial deal, right? That sort of question people may ask. So, and also being, you know my character, I'm very adventurous. Come on, I don't want to be stuck as a civil servant for the rest of my life. Well, to be honest, I used to work for someone, my superior officer, in an arbitration case. Okay. He then left the government to join this city firm. And the arbitration case went with him to that law firm, because only he knew what was going on. And since I used to work for him in that case, one day when the then Attorney General retired from Hong Kong, and we have a mugging, we call it mugging, a party for him, And my previous senior, my supervisor, returned to the AG chambers to join his farewell party for the Attorney General. And he happened to sit next to me. And then after a few drinks, he said, "Oi, you fancy joining the private practice? You know, we pay more money and, you know, more exciting." I think I must have about 4 or 5 beers. And then I was just, well, why not? Yeah, I'm quite interested. Yeah, I would like to know what is life like outside. And then he said, "Why don't you come into my office tomorrow at about 11?" She said, yeah. Well, yes, I will certainly do that. Let me think about it. I thought I said, let me think about it. Apparently, to that person, he took it that I said yes. So the next morning at about 11 o'clock, my secretary called me that, "Mr. Wong, there was a Mr. So-and-so on the phone for you." I said, "What, who? Mr. So-and-so?" I said, "Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, okay. Put him through." So I said, "Hi, good morning." I said, "Huen, me and my managing partner are now sitting in the conference room waiting for you." I said, "Why?" "You said you were coming to see us." "Did I?" I said, "Oh, did I?" Right. So Russia, you know, Central is very small, right? So within the next 10 minutes, I rushed off to their office. I walked in. Wow, their office is, private office with the government offices. They look 10 times more modern, better. And I went in, and then the managing partner said to me, "So I heard a lot of good things about you from him, and if you are half as good as he said you were, I think you will deserve this." And he put the contract right in front of me. I said, what is that? He said, "What is your contract? Take a look." Did I? Wow, did I say I really want to join? I remember I immediately turned to the last page. I only want to look at the figures, right? It's a very long figure. Mentally, I start counting how many zeros there are. 1, 2, 3. And wow. I still said, could I think about it? "No, I would like you to say, no, I really need to think about it. So I will come back tomorrow." So I got the contract and got home and talked to my wife. And one thing led on the other, I joined. And at that time, my superior officer, who later became the last Attorney General in Hong Kong, he was very upset and said, "Huen, do you know that we are grooming people like you to take over from us after 1997? Why are you leaving to go to this, well, difficult..." I try to avoid using the words, that sort of word like stoppish, whatever. Basically, if you join a local Chinese firm doing conveyancing work, right, making big money, I understand. If you join that sort of firm, you had to think about it, right? You had to think about whether you can really get, adapt yourself to that sort of working environment. I stayed in that firm for 19 years. And I became the first Chinese partner, and I became the first managing partner of a city firm in Hong Kong. That I cannot boast about it because it's a fact, right? You can fact check. So there you are. I thought people thought I could only survive maximum up to 1 year, most likely 6 months, and I survived 19 years. Next thing is that, anyway, thereafter, nice to work for a city firm. Those say city firm sounds, wow, yeah, fascinating. But the other similar type of mysterious firm, but a lot of young lawyers would like to join Wall Street firms. So again, I have been approached by a lot of New York firms throughout the 19 years. But on that one occasion, eventually I decided that before I retire, I would like to work for a US firm as well. So I joined a US firm. The UK firm was extremely upset, right? I suddenly became a blue-eyed baby to the real bad boy, right? And then again, they said, I give you 1 year. You can survive a British firm, English firm, but you can never survive a New York firm. Life is totally different. Basically, they thought I would not survive for very long. Then again, I survived for about 12 years now, I think. Yeah. So, but after all that, after all these many years in the government, in a city firm and then a New York firm, I now come to an age that I need to retire. I really need to retire. And you two know that I hold on to a lot of public duties. I often say this to my friends and to my younger generation. I keep saying that I owe a lot to Hong Kong. In fact, I owe my entire career to Hong Kong. And I take it upon myself, it is my mission that during the remaining working life, I want to give back to Hong Kong. I devote all my time to Hong Kong to do public duties, and that is what I'm doing. So I now set up, it is a law firm, but I stay here just to have a base for me to continue to do public duties.
You were president of the Law Society from 2009 to 2011. What do you consider your biggest achievements in this role, and any big challenges leading this professional group?
Yeah, the first challenge I remember, you would not believe it, because we're talking about how many law firms I work in. Some of the members challenged me to say, Huen, I really want to ask you, you have worked in a city firm and then a New York firm. Do you really honestly understand how a local law firm is operated? If you don't, how can you be our president? That was, I said, I believe local law firm, just structural wise, maybe the partnership structure is slightly different from a city firm, New York firm. But as a law firm, all of us has to follow all the rules and regulations, right, of the Law Society. So I don't see any difference between a small one and a big one. And in fact, there is no such thing as small or big. They are just as important because we are all safeguarding the rule of law, and at the same time, we are looking after the best interests of our clients. And that's my answer to that. And in order to convince them, I work very hard to understand how local firms are run. In fact, before I became the president, I have already joined the council for many years. And throughout this, I think I must have been on the council for about 10 years before I became the president. During the 10 years, I have worked in different committees, from compliance to standard development to a lot, the external affairs, of course, member services, everything. So through the work of these committees, of course, I got to know a lot about local law firms. You want to ask me for my biggest achievement? I always like to use a very silly, but quite real analogy. If you go to the hall, the hall of the Law Society, it used to be a bar, members bar, right? I really dislike that is that because you walk in, they have drop ceiling, drop to the really lowest point on the pillar. And wow, one year I remember Yao Ming was in Hong Kong and somebody said, well, could we invite Yao Ming to the law society? I said, don't do that, right? Because we'll be facing a lawsuit of personal injury, because there's absolutely no way he could stand in the law society because our ceiling could not be higher than 5 feet 8 inches, I think, maximum. You just your head is touching the bottom of the drop ceiling. So when I became the president, the first thing is I sent in the contractor, demolish the drop ceiling. Unless this is the lowest, the beam, then you can't move it. The rest, you raise it to as high as you could, right? And so at least you can, when having passed the beam, the rest of the ceiling will still look much higher when you can walk more freely. So I said, that also reflect on my idea of being the president of the Law Society, I want all my fellow members, solicitors, to be walking tall. And I want solicitors to take pride of this branch of profession. And they often see that barrister, just a different branch, different profession, okay? But then why some of them feel that we are somehow, have to play a secondary role. And I said, no, please, I keep saying, walk tall. And that's why that is my first contribution, very silly thing, right? Joking aside, I've done quite a bit of work. For example, I made a point that since my presidency, if there are any topical issues, anything, especially anything touch on rule of law, constitutional matters in Hong Kong, traditionally, it was always the bar who would comment on these issues. And the Law Society is always a bit, say at least a week to 2 weeks after the bar has stated their position, before the Law Society will say anything. By that time, the heat is gone. The press has already got the soundbite already, or widely reported. Everything you say, they will consider, come on, it's already been said by the bar already. So during my 2 years as president, I did not deliberately raise to the press, but I did make sure that we will have the first immediate response. In those days, there were a few incidents. There was some attack on the judiciary, and there were also various talk about the professional conduct of a lawyer, both barrister and solicitor. On all these occasions, and also one constitutional issue, we made a press release the same day in the afternoon. And also, I said, look, be a bit bolder. Don't be too conservative. If you think it is right, just say it. Right? You may upset some members who may be a bit conservative. They said, look, sorry. If you want me to consult all of you, there are about 8,000 solicitors at that time. Now it's over 10,000. I think there are just about 8,000. It is absolutely practically impossible for me to consult all 8,000 members before I'm allowed to say anything to the press. So this is what I think. This is what I would say. If you don't like what I said, unseat me next year. That's all I can answer. Do you agree? Apparently, but then, funny enough, it went very well. I have received a lot of support from my members saying that I'm just doing it right. That, I believe, is the biggest support. Well, it's PIS. I actually orchestrate the amendments to the existing legislation to allow the Law Society to offer a discount to the premium payable by my members. I said that because at the time I thought the balance was too high and it's not necessary. And considering that our members are actually having facing a lot of economic challenges, I think we should do that. It was a very difficult job, extremely difficult, because there was a lot of resistance from my own branch for no reason, right? Later, then I understand the reason are political, because they thought I was gathering brownie points for my election. In fact, at that time, it never crossed my mind I'm interested in running for election. But anyway, they made me interested. They made me feel interested after that. Another thing is compliance work. I've been working very hard on the compliance department. In those days, I remember when I first chaired the compliance committee, all these letters. You know, as soon as the Law Society received a letter of complaint from a client, right, complaining about one of the members, wow, they will never read the letter. They will never sort of try to take a look whether it could be a frivolous, totally groundless complaint. They just mechanically having received it and then send it to that person. Oi, there's a letter complaining about your law firm. I'll give you 21 days to give us a full explanation on failing which you will be breaching whatever rules. By the way, this is written in Chinese. Give me an English translation. I really was very upset. I said, why you assume that it's always the members in the wrong, right? Don't you think you should start some sort of basic investigation? If you find that it's totally groundless, frivolous, fictitious letter, just check it back out, right? I said, look, I know under the law we need to protect the interests of the general public. But under the Constitution, we also have to look after the interests of members, right? So you have to, the two jobs do not sit comfortably together all the time, and you need to strike a balance. But at least you should not take it all one-sided. Letter or complaint received, chuck it over to the recipient law firm, give them a deadline, and then the words they use in the letter is very rude, very strong word. We are in receipt of a letter from a Mr. XX Wong complaining about you're overcharging them, and you are hereby required to send us the reply within 21 days, failing which we will take disciplinary action, something like that. So I asked them to change all the type and then all the correspondence. I need to rewrite all the letters and also go through the flow chart step by step. Right? You do this before you send a letter to the member, etc.
Can you share with us what were your feelings for being admitted into the Roll of Honor?
Yes, I am deeply, profoundly grateful to the Honor Committee for nominating me, and of course I have to thank the council, because it was council who finally adopt the recommendation of the Honor Committee, and then decided to offer you to be included on the Roll of Honor. You see, I have been chairing the the Honor Committee for 11 years, I think. That was 3 years ago. I stepped down since 3 years ago. I still remember the first year when I joined, I was given a lot of the names, all the would-be, all the potential candidates to be put on the Roll of Honor. Piles of paper with a lot of names, and then you go through, very carefully put together the name, background, year of admission, and what that person, he or she, has done. That may qualify that person to be put on the Roll of Honor. Wow, I remember the first couple of years, human nature, right? You always want to look, to be honest, you take a lot of selfies, take a lot of photographs. When people show you the photograph, the first thing you look for in the photograph is yourself. Agree? All right? It's always like that. Right, so you just immediately say, hey, is my name there? I wonder, right? So you turn over. It's a part of about 20 pages. Gosh, my name was on the very last page. You take a look at that. It will take me half a century before I will come up there to be considered. I remember that so well. So year on year, you are moving up, but still very slowly. But each year, we will come up with a couple of names, sometimes 3 names, and you have to justify why you want to nominate these 3 people. Then the paper will then send to council. Council will look at your recommendation. They decide whether they will offer it to any one of the 3 or all 3 of them, right? Or none of them, or it could be right, just 4. So I've been doing this for almost 11 years. You see, it's just like, your bridesmaid. You keep seeing people getting married and you are forever the bridesmaid, and you keep asking yourself, when I'm going to be the bride. I had the same feeling until 3 years ago. Someone from council came over to say to me that, Huen, I'm sorry, we need you to step down from the honor committee. So, you want to fire me? You want to sack me? I've been doing this job for so many years. But then that person started giggling a bit, and then I was like, so a penny dropped. And I knew, I think, it's time. It's time. And then it's bittersweet, right? You feel sad that after all this year serving the honor committee, which is a fascinating job. We only meet once or twice a year, but all other members are members who are very senior, because we know we need members who know who's in our profession, right? So people must be able to tell whether that person is deserved or not. So I really enjoyed the job for so many years, but on that occasion I felt sad that I had to say goodbye. Sweet, of course, bittersweet is that probably they are considering me, right? So that's why they want me to step down. So there you are. So I stepped down, and I must say that I'm most honored. I'm very, very pleased to be nominated. And I'm particularly happy that I don't have to pay that $180 every year from now as a member. But the other bit is that you just say that time flies, right? I think most people on the honor list must have served the profession for more than, I think, roughly over 30 years, I think. Yes, it's a recognition of the work you have done for the profession, and you only have one person every year. So, I think there have been two, on one occasion. So it's a huge honor. When I first qualified as a solicitor, in those days, being qualified as a solicitor is already a big thing. It never crossed our mind one day your name will be on the Road of Honor. I think, wow, that is really this is big way, really. Yeah, this is the way to go, and me and my family are all very proud.
Tying back to the Law Society, can you tell us which committees or work you find most meaningful in your involvement at Law Society?
Wow. And the time I thought you asked me which committees I have served. I think it's easier to ask me which committee I have not served, right? Because I think I've served all the committees. I think I've served, maybe it's not standard development, I don't know. Anyway, yes, I think I mentioned that external affairs is one which I really enjoy, because being the president of Law Society, and then if you join the external affairs committee, you come into contact with a lot of your counterparts from other overseas jurisdictions, widen your perspective. So as a result, I then became, I personally joined a member of various other international law associations like IPA, IPPA. So eventually, I became the president of IPPA as well. So it's again gives you the exposure to the global legal fraternity, which is it is eye-opening, experience. So being a lawyer in Hong Kong is one thing, but then when you go out and you try to understand what your competitors overseas, what they are doing, and they also know what you are doing, and that the world is getting smaller with today's communications. Everybody knows what everybody's doing. So I find that is most fascinating. And all other committees, they all are very important anyway. Constitutional is one that's most challenging for me. I was a chair for quite a long time, and you know that at the time you will have to really be clear-headed. You know what is important. Constitutionally, you know that you have to safeguard the rule of law, but also at the same time you want to do it right? So that's not easy at the time.
So, Mr. Wong, whenever we would mention your name, like Huen Wong, people will associate you with arbitration. We understand that you're a leading figure in this field. So can you share with us today, like, what do you think of arbitration and why is it important for the profession of solicitors?
Yeah, I believe I alluded to that early on when I first returned to Hong Kong and joined the legal department. And for some reason, I was sent to work in this project, which is the Prince of Wales Hospital construction arbitration. In those days, it's supposed to be the largest arbitration we ever have in Hong Kong in terms of money involved. So I was sent to work in this team. This absolutely impossible because I actually called up my colleagues right from the UK. They said, "Hey, look, have you heard of arbitration?" I said, "No, what's that?" I said, "I know. They did not teach us in law school. In law school, nobody taught us arbitration. What the hell is arbitration?" I did check, you know. So it was most fascinating. And also doing construction work. I was in the lands department, do you remember? Before I got a scholarship, right? So I was kind of exposed to that sort of work as well. And so to be honest, at that time I was a trainee, right? As a trainee, it's easier to please. They did not expect very much from you, but I worked very hard, and this is a story. Look, this is a story. I try to make it short because I always like to tell younger generation of the stories. I was a trainee. My job was nothing more than compiling trial bundle. Do you know that? Leverage file piling up to about 50 box files, and you need 10 sets. One set for the barrister, for the QC from England, one set for the junior, two sets from your senior officer, one set to send to the opposition, one set to send to the arbitrator, etc. And then you want to have one set to put on the during the trial for the witness to use, and then you need another set for you have consultant, you have people who are technically your consultant on building construction technology, things like that. All right, so at that time, I was young and energetic, and my forearms is 5 times the size. I keep on punching, and putting number on the each page and putting them, and you finish one set, you start doing another set, and this. This is the job, right? Okay, you do that. Look at 2 ways to do it. One is do exactly what I just said. You just keep on, and then put down number, and then one set, file number 1, and then type on the label, put it there. I did that, but I did a little more. While you are doing that, why don't you take a look and see what they are inside, right? So I did take a look. Mind you, I said 30, 40, 50 files. I forgot the number. Just a lot of them. I just turn over, take a look. All right, my other job is to pick up the QC from the airport, and then escort him all the way to the Mandarin Hotel right behind me. And then, oh, Mr. To be very careful, he later became the Court of Appeal judge. Mr. Berger said, "Yeah, hi. My name is Huen Wong. I'm here to look out you." So I carry your bag and all the way to the Mandarin Hotel. So, the flight was a bit horrible. The pilot did not allow us to release our seatbelt for longer than 2 hours, and the entire way I could not sleep. Things like that, and then you just chat him up. And he kind of likes you, right? And so, how can I get to use the Hong Kong club? I said, "Yeah, you have a sister. I have done that already. I already signed you up during your stay. You have the signing right." Yes, very good. And anyway, that guy, let's call him Smith, right? Mr. Smith liked me a lot because I look after him. So I thought I was just doing like a meaning a little serving, but then never mind. And then I prepared this thing. During the meeting, I was sitting at the back. Okay, my boss, the QC, two junior counsel, plus the other people. Anyway, I was the most senior person. If someone just, could someone get me, someone want to refill the coffee, I just take it out and then refill it. And somebody need to sharpen the pencil, I just sharpen it. That was my job. But on a couple of occasions, Mr. Smith was a bit annoyed. He wanted to refer to a certain document, which he was quite sure that the opposition inadvertently wrote down some notes on the margin, which was detrimental to their case, right? So sort of making some notes, we shouldn't have done this, right? This is irregular. So he would say, yeah, I seem to come across something like that, right? That would be useful. And that nobody could find that, right? And they said, yeah, I'm quite sure I came across, but hey, what a bore, what a bore. I was sitting in the back, right? I just check it. I found the right box file, opened it, and then just, excuse me, Mr. Smith. What's up, bro? I said, yeah, maybe later. I said, no. Would it be this letter you're referring to? Oh my word, that is exactly the one I was looking for. And he was so impressed, right? And then on one occasion, he was referring to an authority, and he said, now, Law Wilberforce also said something similar in another case. I just skipped my mind. And I was sitting in the back, right? And I just, do you think this is the one you're referring to? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, by George, that's the one. By George, that's the one. How do you know? I said, well, you actually mentioned that case last time. After that, I sort of took a liberty to go to the library, and because I saw Wilberforce's case in the footnote, so I thought just for personal interest, I took a photocopy of that case as well. So I happened to have it. This is what I call. What's the name again? There you are. That's the rest of history. And he was so impressed by me. Now the whole story getting all ranked back. That explained why my previous boss, when he came back for the Attorney General's farewell mugging, he was sitting next to me and he offered me the job and asked me to join him in that law firm. Do you remember I told you? All this because he still remember, because when Mr. Smith, right, came back after a lapse of 6 months, the arbitration, they have a hearing and then they stop for a couple of months. But once, after the first session, I was sent to the legal aid department, I remember very well, because during my 2 years as a trainee, they asked you to work in different departments. Okay, so I was sent to the legal department. And when Mr. Smith returned, he was very upset that why Huen is not here at the airport to be. He said, sorry. He said, and he came in and asked my boss, hey, where is Huen? I want you Huen. Huen is no longer in the department. He is sent to the legal aid department. I want him back during my round. And then all this, you left a good impression of your boss, and that's why they offer you opportunities, and that's why I come back to the advice I want to give all of you. Opportunities, they don't come by themselves. You create the opportunities. If I just prepare the bundle by physically punching the numbers, punching the hole, perforating, and then put them into a box file and put them aside, the world would be very peaceful. But no one will ever get to know me because by chance I remember, because while I did that, I did take the trouble to take a look at what am I punching? Come on, let me take a look, right? So that helped. And so you create an opportunity. Why arbitration is so important? As I say, so my first exposure to a case where as a trainee was already at arbitration, although at that time nobody understood what arbitration was about. And in those days, even when you said arbitration, they only think of building construction. That was the only way. But things have changed so much now that arbitration has gone into a lot of investment arbitration, right? A lot of cross-border investment arbitration, especially, and also commercial. There are so many commercial disputes all subject to arbitration. Now, not only that, they're getting more and more specialist arbitration. You have IP specialization, you have energy arbitration, and a lot of aviation arbitration, medical negligence arbitration, a lot of specialist arbitration cases. Why are they getting more important? These days, there's a lot of cross-border deals. Governments, I hate this term decoupling, but they just become disengaged from another. I don't trust your system, you don't trust my system. Okay, if we have to do business, if disputes arise, I am not going to your place to fight the case, but you probably don't want to come to my country to do litigation in court, and let's do arbitration. So arbitration will be the mainstream form of dispute resolution for a long time yet. That's why I said arbitration is so important. And that's why I still am chairing the arbitration committee of the Hong Kong Law Society. And recently we have just admitted a couple younger members to the committee, because my idea of running the arbitration committee is to encourage, number one, solicitor to become arbitrator or at least involved in arbitration work. Because again, they go back to the same problem. People don't know why they assume that, arbitrator must be a barrister. I said, no, not necessary. There are a lot of good arbitrators who are solicitors. At least arbitration lawyer can be a solicitor. You must be. Okay, so I am confident that this is the way to go.
You've shared with us just now your contributions to the Law Society as well as your public duties. So, and you're no doubt a successful lawyer. So, how do you achieve work-life balance? Well, from me, I understand that you're a very keen golfer and also you play in a band. How do you achieve that? Can you share with us?
Let me see. Yes, number one, don't mention golf to my wife, because she was saying that, look, you really like the sport or the game, right? You like it so much, and she said she felt happy for me, at least to find some, let's just say, work-life balance. At least you have time and you can play golf. So why the hell you end up being the president or the chairman of the golf club, right? Can you just play golf? Can you not do work? I said, yeah, must be in my blood, right? I was minding my own business, playing golf, and somebody came over to say, hi, the general manager said, good morning, Mr. Wong. I would like to have a word with you. Have I done something wrong? I'm going to receive a warning letter, a reprimand from you. No. The chairman would like you to help out on a committee or whatever. I would like to play golf. Come on, they say that you are very experienced and whatever. One thing leads to another. So a few years later, I became the chairman. And my wife was not a bit amused. She said, why can't you just relax and play while you have to work? Here comes my answer. What is work-life balance? I keep saying that sometimes you think work is work. Life meaning not working. I have a different formula. Trust me, work can be your life. Work can be very relaxing. And it all depends where you stand. Think about these phenomena I just mentioned. My wife thinks I was crazy that I was playing golf and you end up being the chairman of the club. That means I have to do a lot of work. But she had to understand that I love that work. Now, think about that. If you have someone, if the husband is a professional golfer, Justin Thomas, in the old days, John Clancy, Tiger Woods, right? To them, their profession is a golfer. To them, work is to play golf, right? So they have to play golf for many hours every day to practice. And one day, they got really tired. They may say to their wife, the wife may be running, let's say running a business, an office somewhere, right? Then the husband may say, hey, dear darling, I'm absolutely tired of my work, playing golf, right? I just want some relaxation. Could I come over to your office and help you to sort out some paperwork? The wife says, yeah, if you don't mind. And then the husband will go over and find out, wow, this is what you do every day. You have to write all these letters to your customers. To him, not staying away from the golf course to spend a morning with his wife, going through his wife's work and helping out to sort out some documentation, to him is so relaxed. But the trouble is that was supposed to be his wife's full-time work. His wife thinks that I've been working the whole day, I'm very tired. Whereas to him, playing golf is that I don't want to work, I want to do something else. Playing golf to other people will be relaxation. So what do you mean by work-life balance? Do you see? So to me is that just do some work, different from what you are doing.
We have one more last question.
Yes.
Is there anything else you would like to share with the audience?
Just if you want to stay in the profession, right? Just do the honorable thing and remember your duty is owed to not only your client, you have to look out the best interest, but to the whole country and most of all to yourself. Ask yourself, I want to be a lawyer, but I'm not taking it just as a money spinning position, right? I want to get some meaning out of the profession. That's my word to you. So enjoy what you're doing and be truthful to yourself and ask yourself, are you enjoying your work?
Mr. Wong,
Yes.
thank you very much for attending our
Thank
interview
you, my
today.
pleasure.
As a token of our appreciation, the Law Society would like to present you with these Law Society teddy bears.
You, wow, very cute.